Uh, I was prepared a joke that I'm just the only gap between you and beer, but I saw that after me there are more presentations. So this joke is not relevant anymore, but I will try to arrange something. Okay, so my presentation is about crazy things, how we started the competition with the big players. And here is a catch or a joke. Then I come to the stage or the clients or any conference and I'm start juggling around. We are competing with Google. We are competing with Microsoft. We are 8 people. They are thousands of people. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. But I will tell you a story how everything started and how we achieved that. And there is a proof of evidence of everything. So it will be interesting. So let's start. I'm coming from a big enterprise. As previously I was working in a SoundCloud, Vinted, Adform, IBM for 7 years. So now I know a bit about enterprises and how enterprises are doing businesses. So that's a great background for starting my own startup. So we started the startup by thinking, what is the biggest problem we can try to solve and earn money? And when I'm saying earn money is not just $9.99 for the app. I would like to earn at least $100,000 per month. That would be a reasonable price to build a business around. So we found a problem. Call centers or support centers, especially telcos, we are receiving 20,000 calls per day in Lithuania. In Turkey, we do have way more calls. So here's the problem. Managers should re-listen all the calls during the day to identify that agents are lacking knowledge, agents are not responding, clients are willing to leave the company. So you can imagine to re-listen 20,000 calls per day. Yeah, there are a couple of managers per team, but nevertheless, it's a huge amount of calls to re-listen and identify problems. So we thought that that's a great source of a big data, but they don't have understanding what is happening in that data, calls, call center, company, and etc. So that's how we started our journey. Let's try to tackle this problem. Let's try to build something to solve the problem, to transform the operations, shape their business, improve the KPIs, and I think they will start paying money for that. So we realized that it's doable. All we need to do is transcribe, run it through LLMs, and extract the data. Simple as that. Very simple solution, and the business is willing to pay for that. Interesting fact. And what we can deliver? We can deliver the data instantly. Instantly is about 1 to 2 minutes delay to get processed, but it's almost instantly. Almost real-time signals or alerts for what is happening in your data in your call center. So basically, it's actionable data. You can react. So if a client is angry and shouting and willing to leave a company, within 5 minutes you can react. You can recall the client, calm him down, and leave the client in a company still paying. So that's a great win back for the company. So naturally, we thought, okay, not a big problem. Let's start from the big players. Let's try to use Azure Translate, Google Translate. They are great. They should be ready for that. And yes, they work if the audio is clear, like a studio recording or then I'm speaking in a quiet room. That works fine. That's fine. The problem is if I'm start telling him Lithuanian names, Latvian names, Russian names, that's a bit of a problem. We are missing 3 out of 10. So far, it's not a big problem, just 3 out of 10. The problem is that the people are not speaking in one language, especially in Latvia. We start the call in Russian, then they transform into Latvian and ending up in English. Interesting fact, mixed languages. Try to guess how many Azure and Google tests passed. 1 out of 20. So far, so good. We still can operate and figure out something. Domain-specific terms. That's a rubbish, that's a mess. Especially when you're calling to the telco and trying to buy an iPhone, which is 25 gigabytes, but you started a conversation in Lithuanian language. It's fucked up, it's messed up, and the context of conversation is already rubbish. And the final one, that's my favorite one. Try to guess how many in percentage are calling from a high-end phones, latest phones. I can tell you 6%. All the rest are calling from a cheap, low-end phones where even I can't understand what they are saying. And I'm not even speaking about Azure and Google. They are trained on the studio recordings. So their understanding of the rubbish audio, as we said, that's game over. There is no solution which we can use provided by the big players. So what we did, okay, one of example, my favorite one. We're starting a conversation in Lithuanian. Laba diena, I would like to buy, and here is the most interesting part, iPhone 16 rose gold. It's not enough. So, in English is dev, 25 gigabytes. So tell me, what is the language of the sentence? If I would try to count Lithuanian words versus English words, it's more or less English. If I would look from the beginning of a sentence, it's more or less Lithuanian. But the interesting fact, it should be understandable for LLM as a single sentence and should be identified correctly. And that's a real example taken from one of our telcos in Lithuania. And it's quite common example, especially when new iPhones is presented in the market. Most of the calls is full of rubbish, jargons, specific keywords, which neither Azure, neither OpenAI, neither Google is capable to understand and attach to one of the languages. So we basically hit two main problems. The models wasn't ready or trained for real audio. And the second problem was that rubbish audio is the main audio, which is coming from big players or telcos. So we started to think, okay, so what would be the perfect model which could operate in such environment? So yes, it should be multilingual, especially by the how our countries are speaking, Baltics. In Lithuania, we speak more or less 4 languages. So it's Russian, English, Lithuanian, kind of Polish. In Latvia, it's very similar, but here, surprise, surprise, in Latvian, there is 2 Latvian languages. It's Latvian official and Latgale. People are speaking in that language. Neither Azure or Google is investing money to uptrain the model, so we basically can understand those guys. In Estonia, it's quite similar, just 3 languages and English on top. So it's a mixed language, which should be understandable. Domain-specific things, like a telco keywords, brands, slangs, nobody is speaking by the book or by the vocabulary. And that's the main thing what the big players are missing. They are training the data based on vocabularies or things which we don't speak like. Another thing which is missing, that's the names, surnames, addresses, city names, etc. That's one of the things where we invested a lot of time and resources to build our own model. And real world audio problem, that the model should be trained on a poor quality audio, not in a studio quality things. And here comes the problem. None of the big techs, neither Google, Azure, OpenAI, all others, is not investing money into small markets. We tried to contact them through various resources, through various conferences. Maybe there is some shady doors which we can open, push some data and get the model from you guys for this specific case. And we say no, it's not worth the money. You know, there is a huge markets like Spanish language, English, China, all big countries, all big languages, they worth the money. They are earning from those countries. So to get something from those big guys is not an option. So the only logical decision from our perspective was, fuck it, let's build our own. It was like in the midnight, after 5 beers. Everything was possible at that time. But we did it. We did it. We started from very basic things. OpenAI was presenting and shouting about, we do have a model, it's open source, it's Whisper. Go ahead, look at it. And they had Lithuanian language, Latvian language, Russian language in it. It was trained on something around 100 hours of speech. It was okay-ish. It wasn't okay. Part of words was lost, but it was something where we could start and use. Next thing, we used all the public resources we could find. In Lithuania, we were lucky because some universities were investing money and building their own data sets for Lithuanian language. Mozilla was collecting the data sets for Lithuanian, Latvian, and Russian languages for years. So there was more than enough. We recorded thousands of names, surnames, addresses by our own resources. And that was actually working better than any drug in the market. You can imagine 3 days in a row shouting in a room, Jonas, Jono, Jonui, Jonas, Jonas gyvena Panevėžyje, Panevėžio gatvė yra Jonas. After a couple of hours, you start hallucinating. Trust me. You can try this. It's kind of cheap, and so far it's legal. And it works. Created some synthetic data, like slang, brands, support, phrases, mixed them with all the keywords we need for our training set, and use and record them, and train it, test it, retrained it, and it was for months. You can imagine how big was electricity bill. I can tell you. I'm still saying my wife that probably it was due to cold weather outside, not just because we trained something. But yeah, it was huge. And after months of recording, scripting, retraining, brain melting, hallucinating, sleepless nights, something amazing started to happen. We achieved the great results. So when we started, our results was 48% of word error rate. That means half of the words was lost of our model initially. Now we reach almost 6. So great improvement. That's first. And here we started to realize that we outperforming. First of all, it was Microsoft Azure, because our main goal was, let's build the model at least at the same level as Microsoft Azure to stop paying for Microsoft Azure. So that was first. After a couple of tests, we realized that we already beating Microsoft Azure on the real data, not the studio audios, but on the real calls, real speech, real keywords. That's how people are speaking. And after a couple of weeks, we did the same for Google and OpenAI. So currently, word error rate for Baltic states is the best in the market. And clients loved it. Here, the current state, we went to one of our biggest telcos in Lithuania and said, you know, we can solve your problem. Would you like to pay us money? Would you like to sign a contract? And we showed them a demo, how they can save hundreds of hours, don't piss off their manager of call center to re-listen all the audios. And you know what they said? We want to buy that. We want to lock that. And let's sign a 3 years contract, at least, with all the exclusivities that you won't be able to sell other telcos. This one is the most favorite one. After a year of building the model, we won the award for best AI solution in enterprise world. So that was one of the things which finally put us on the right track, that we are doing something important and we can earn from that. So as we in a Python conference, probably you want to hear something, where is a Python? Where is a Python? Let's talk about tech. You're a CTO, you're technical guys. Oh, why you're talking about business, earning, startups, etc. As a CTO, I can tell you a few technical guys as well. So yeah, no big surprise. That's Python behind the scenes. When we started, the only Python was able to work with CUDAs, NVIDIAs, and all the rest. We used OpenAI Whisper as our base model. We used, no surprise, Hugging Face transformers. Now we're using Peft and LoRa. How many of you knows what is Peft plus LoRa? Not much. I can tell you what it is. It's a money saver, in short. For those who don't understand, before Peft and LoRa was introduced, to train a model, it was taking around 2 weeks. Now it takes 3 days. You see the difference in electricity bills? I'm measuring the model efficiency due to electricity bills. So technology from Peft and LoRa enables you to save a lot of resources. You don't need such powerful GPUs. You don't need to waste days, months, and weeks for retraining, because it's retraining just a small portion of a model. It leaves all the rest as it was before, and then adds on top what is new. So you're not retraining full model. Before it was a full retrain each time, so it takes way more. Custom data pipelines for processing, cleaning, normalizing audio, etc. So basic stuff, boring stuff. And of course, the main question, so how are you running that model? So we are running in 2 ways. So one is through the transformers to get the audio. Next, through Ollama. Those who was paying attention probably would start asking, how the fuck are you running Whisper through Ollama? Ollama is for LLMs. And you're right. You're right. And then I will go back to one slide before. Look at the sentence on the top. Now you get the point, what we did with our model. Yeah, we transformed the Whisper model into LLM. And now we do have a model which acts like LLM. So speech in, speech out, speech in, text out. So it's not just speech to text model. It's a way complex model, which allows us to create great things. But actually, it was never about technology, because everybody can do that. But you need to find a real sweet spot, real business problem to start earning from that. Because you can imagine, if you will play around and train models for a month, your electricity bills will be enormous, and that will be one of the things why you will probably lose the track, lose the intention of what you're doing, or basically will be bankrupt. So that's a real solution for a real problem. Managers can finally analyze all those thousands of calls. It gives you instant understanding of what is happening, so you can faster respond and take better decisions. If everybody is blaming about the quality of your internet, so maybe your internet is shit, and you need to fix the internet, not the call center agents. Increased customer satisfaction. So if I'm angry about the prices and the telco can react within 5 minutes and get me a discount, I will be a happy customer. I won't be looking where to switch in the market. Scalable and cost-effective solution. Yes, it's scalable. You can deploy it anywhere. You can attach as many GPUs as you want. You can shut it down, turn it up. It's cost-effective. You're just paying for the infrastructure. You're not paying for each API request. You are not paying subscriptions, etc. So it's way less expensive than using Google, Azure, or OpenAI APIs. And it's an award-winning AI solution, which helps us to solve the solution. It's been a wild ride, for sure, and we're just getting started. If you would start thinking what could be the next, I can tell you a hint. Speech to speech, where it leads us. Voice agents. We do have a model which can accept the speech. Don't do any transformations between, so we don't need to transcribe it. We don't need additionally send it to LLMs. We don't need to synthesize the voice. We're doing everything inside one model straight away. So the delay from your set phrase to the response is half a second. So it's voice agents are coming. And they will be speaking in those languages, which I said. Lithuanian, Russian, Latvian, Estonian, Polish, Turkish, Danish, Swedish, Norwegian. I can keep saying those. And you're probably already mapping those countries, and we see all the markets which we are targeting. So all those countries are small countries, niche languages, where none of the big players are investing the money, neither curious about. So here is how we beating them in those markets. So thanks a lot. I hope you do have questions. If not, meet me in the lobby.
Yep, we do not have much time, but we have 2 questions here and then third there.
Yay.
So, will you sell it to those big companies, or have they noticed and proposed any deal?
No, we won't be selling this. It's definitely worth way more than they're offering. Yes, we got in contact with Microsoft. We noticed us, especially when we were in a Amsterdam AI Summit and I was presenting this. After the presentation, one of the representatives from Microsoft came and we had some interesting talk. But no, so far there is no plan to sell. Would we? It depends on the money.
What was the electricity bill?
First one, the middle one, or the last one?
Oh.
First one, it was around 2,000.
Okay.
Per month. Hosted?
Yeah.
On premises.
Okay.
On premises only, for a main reason that that's a sensitive data, so we don't want to leave the company network. No, on a company's data center.
Can you demo it, preview how it works, the outputs, no code needed?
Yes. Open my LinkedIn. There is a famous example, which are getting hundreds of likes. I built the phone assistant where you can call the sex shop.
Okay, nice.
And get all the information about the prices, products, and spice information. So there is a demo, you can watch it.
We have children here, so please do in the evening.
Everything was legal.
Here, there's the
Yeah,
question.
hi. Quick question about your datasets and the benchmark. How did you evaluate its biases for accents? For example, Jamaican accents.
Yes.
They have very different phonetics from, you could say, normal Lithuanian. How did you evaluate them and not make them biased? Thanks.
Very good question. Constant question I'm getting. I told one of the examples that in Latvia, actually, there is two Latvian language, and they do have a very similar thing as we do have Jamaican language. So what we did for a validation data set, we were going to Klaipėda, we were go to other fancy regions which have some differences in how they pronounce things. And we basically were chatting with the guys, the phone and recorder turned on. Afterwards, we were cutting out ourselves and leaving those guys, annotating everything, basically transcribing by hand, and using this data for validation. So roughly, now we do have almost 1,000 of our 4 languages, and try to guess how many hours for validation. Normally, it would be 50% for validation. We do have 150%. So our validation test is way bigger than the actual data set for training. And that's the main reason why we built it so big, because all those specific things from different accents, different pronunciations, especially all those guys which are coming for Erasmus, they're coming from Spain, they are coming from Italy, they start learning Lithuanian language. But even though if they will try to call the telco and pretend they are speaking Lithuanian, it won't be Lithuanian. It will be Italian Lithuanian. So that's why our test data set or validation data set is way bigger. And we constantly trying to add additional pronunciations, accents, etc. Did I answer the questions?
Yeah. There's a question there, and I have 2 more in the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
So one, Dima is going to the next part of the audience. I have 2 questions. So very shortly, any plans to open source the dataset?
No.
Yes. Does any knowledge of the model transfers between languages, for example, Norwegian and Swedish?
Finland is the most troubled one.
Okay.
Norwegian and Swedish is quite simple. Finland is...
Okay, so Finnish. Okay,
I have my feelings about Finland.
Last question.
It was answered.
Oh, answered. Oh, that's great. So thank you
very
so
much.
much, Alius.